Strong and brave and wise and true.
That's what makes us Cerritos crew. Hi, everyone.
Would you
I
be
do
miserable?
like a good rhyme.
Would you be miserable if that's like the people that you worked with, though?
If I had to do a hands-in thing every briefing, yeah, I'd hate that.
I would too.
You can't
Actually, I don't
force
know.
team building and team camaraderie. I don't like it. I don't like team building. I don't like it.
So if I was
It's gross.
around, we should save this for the show, I guess. But if I was around a group of people that were all willing and to just like get that excited and silly and like join in with the excitement, that would be kind of neat. So I think I'm on the fence about it.
You've all got to be on the same page, I guess. But yeah, I think I've had too many bosses where I've just like been in a job I did not enjoy, and they try and force some family camaraderie out of it. I was like, no, buddy, I'm going to do a good job, and then I'm going to check out and leave. You're not going to make me love this. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Ooh, I put the wrong one on. Let me start the other one.
Is mine louder than usual? No, I think that's okay.
It's fine. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Welcome to another
everyone.
Friday of your life, where we're going to be talking about Star Trek and our own lives. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for being here.
Sarah is not doing well.
Oh, no.
Poor Sarah. I'm so sick and I really want chocolate crepes. And there are no delivery people around and I'm so sad.
Oh, man. I guess that's
crepes.
just chocolate crepes is something that you could potentially just order. Because I don't even know. Okay, let's pretend that somebody would deliver to my house. I don't even know where I would find a chocolate crepe.
Are you kidding? There's got to be, like, in America, there's got to be dessert places that...
In America?
that will
Yeah,
deliver
but
crepes.
I'm talking about my area. Like, I don't even know where I would look for a chocolate. By the way, we say crepe, so...
Crepe. I think we probably say crepe as well. I'm not good with words. Crepe. Crepe? What the crepe?
Has the warp core sound always been this pulsy?
Yeah, it sounds a bit louder. I haven't changed it, but I'm sure it sounds different.
It does, yeah.
I'm gonna turn it down a little bit.
Oh, you're welcome, Slab. We try to make your life easier. Well, I do. I try to make your life easier.
I know.
Oh, so Duolingo.
Oh, wait, no, I did. That was me. I did that.
For some reason, Slab makes me think of Duo. And
yeah,
anyway.
Makes sense.
So I was doing the year-end review. I think I tried to take a screenshot of it. I think that their whole shtick to kind of carry on about the sassiness level of it all, I think that's part of their shtick. So, okay. I'm in the top 7. They did the year-end in review bit. And so it tells me I'm in the top 7% and I earned 11,000 points. And it's like, are you a legend? This kind of thing. But then it says, yes, your 402-day streak was hot stuff. You're safe from Duo for now, but one slip is all it takes. It's just like the super foreboding.
That's so insidious.
And their notifications, if I'm reminded, is like, don't let your fellow friends down now.
Yeah.
It's just really
Hey,
dark.
Janae, don't disappoint your family.
Right?
By not practicing this language you're not going to use.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's so weird. Slab says it's hard to resist nudging you every time I see you haven't done your daily lesson.
Okay, Slab.
Nudge.
I did take notice that after complaining about Duo that I got several nudges from you, I think for like a couple of days in a row, maybe. I was like, you bastard.
That's what you get.
Oh my God. Duo is after us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, threats is what we go for. I guess they do understand that some people are motivated by fear. I don't know. You made it for another week. Thank you for being here.
Woo!
Well, anyway.
And Highlander and JA and Link and Lloydie and Cameron and Flyboy and Wandering and Gerard Bear and Eights and I think that's everyone so far.
Snark is Duolingo's thing. I noticed you're ignoring my notifications. I'll stop trying then.
Wow.
I don't know if that's snark or just like confident manipulation. That is such a manipulative thing.
I think it's
don't forget David.
Sorry, David. Hi, David. I think it's because there's I love that. Yeah, give us a trivia question. Do it. I think it's because we get like very immune to like the regular marketing of do this, and anything new is like a new type of marketing. We kind of respect it. We kind of respect that they're brave enough to be rude.
Yeah. I will never forget when Wendy's just broke me when they decided to go full rogue on Twitter, you know?
Yeah, that's great. That kind of viral marketing.
Yeah. And they like started calling out McDonald's or whatever, just sort of, it turned into a real personality. But Duo's personality to make you feel like shit to learn a language just doesn't.
Yeah. Guilt trips don't work for that kind of thing.
I'm more annoyed about it and don't want to use it because I don't have friends like that. This is actually something I've had to talk to Iris about.
I have one friend like that.
Okay, you don't talk to me that way.
No, I don't.
And if you did, we would not be friends.
Fair, that's fair.
But that's the thing is sometimes Iris will like treat me a certain way because she just isn't. Maybe she's used to getting everything her way, and so she has this like intrinsic manipulative way of making me feel like shit for not going and getting her a water or something. I have this opportunity to say, hey, I just want to let you know you're the only person in my life that talks to me this disrespectfully, because usually I don't choose to continue relationships with people who talk this disrespectfully to me. So, however, you're my daughter. Like, I'm super dedicated to you and I like being together forever. Like, I love it, but I want you to learn to respect me or whatever the situation is. Her poor 7-year-old brain. I have talked to her like an adult to the point where I may have given her just far too many complexes, to be honest.
Yeah, sure.
We'll see.
I think they'll grow them. They'll grow individual complexities.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick your favorite one.
Right. Okay, Flyboy, this is a great question. Explain to me the difference between snark and confident manipulation. Okay, this is my attempt to do so. So I think about, we use the word snark a lot in our jobs because when people will ask, for example, so Danae, what do you do for a living? And if I choose to be honest about it, I usually talk about how I write for a YouTube channel as this snarky character that can't enjoy movies no matter how hard he might try. Like, he just can't have a good time. Movies do this and this. And you guys know more about our job than most, so I don't have to keep going. But snark in that context is just like somebody who, for me, I would describe it as somebody who gets a little nitpicky or kind of points out something a little bit dark, and it's got a personality to it that's it's like wit combined with dark humor and like maybe a little negativity. But when you add an active manipulation to it, I feel like when you do that, you're trying to force someone to do something by manipulating them to do what you want. And I think those are different things, because like as a character, we're not trying to manipulate people to think like we are. We're just creating funny content. But if we were also actively manipulating people, we would be doing things like, and if you think that way, then you're dumb, you know, and like trying to manipulate people. That's kind of how I feel. But maybe I can't quite I would want to think about that a lot more. If I was going to be doing a TED Talk, that's the rudimentary version.
I think you can be, it's kind of apples and oranges. You can be snarky with your confident manipulation, but not all snark has the intent of manipulating. Sometimes snark is just, I want to be snarky because I'm a bitter person, or something along those lines. Confident manipulation is like, you have a goal. And Duolingo has a goal, and it is using a sprinkling of snark to achieve its goal. Yeah,
snark I think has an overtone of sarcasm. I think so too.
I think that's intrinsic. Yeah.
Wit plus cynicism plus sarcasm equals snark. Maybe I like that we're trying to kind of put the right words together. But the manipulation part, that's where I feel like when somebody's manipulating you, they're saying something with the intention of you doing something specific as a result of what they have said or the result of what they have done. So and you're
kind of like
manipulating them.
Ransom was confidently manipulating his lower deckers.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Just some bullshit. This is genuinely one of my biggest fears should I ever have kids.
Oh God.
I just reliving school is like the number one motivator for me to not have children, because I'm like, I do not want to relive that vicariously through another human that has to go through 18 years or whatever of schooling. There.
I'm not looking forward to it. I'm scared about it. I've done what I personally feel like I can to give her the best chance to experience the trauma of meeting other people.
Of living on a planet with utter bastards.
I had a chat with her the first 2 or 3 weeks of her brand new school, and I was trying to just explain the difference between a friend and a classmate.
That's a good distinction, because you have the work and the friend thing that will come into play.
Well, and also the school and people in general will say things like, okay, friends, everyone get your friend, and we use that word very frivolously, in my opinion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very assumptive.
Yeah. And so she thinks, that these people are her friends, and so they should treat her a certain way. So then it hurts even more when they are going to act towards her a way that's different than the way that she would act. So I had to explain to her a couple different concepts, and I think it went pretty well. One of them was... One of them... No.
Twix will always be your friend.
Yeah. One of them was that they're your classmates, and you have to be with them for possibly the rest of your school career if we stay at this school, and they do too.
Yes, potentially.
And so you have to have an armor. If someone keeps hurting your feelings, that it's kind of like they're made of fire, and if you get close to them, it's probably going to hurt. So you need to prepare yourself for that and put on a little bit of armor and decide to not listen to what they have to say if it's at recess and you just are playing. But when they're your classmate and you're working on a project together, you do have to figure out a way to have your armor on and still be at school to learn. And so that was one part. And the other part was not everybody has the same way of thinking about things that you do, because they were raised in a totally different family. So you might think that chocolate is the best thing ever, but maybe their family thinks chocolate's really bad because they all are allergic or something. Mm-hmm. So you two could be arguing back and forth about how good chocolate is or how bad chocolate is, and you're both right. So it's important that too. I've just been really impressed that she's been able to kind of level out a little bit, but there's no way, no matter what I do, no matter how much time I spend, there's absolutely no way I'm going to help her avoid the utter bullshit that is going to just rain down upon her as she gets older.
Yeah. It's everyone digs in. Everyone digs into their side. The argument doesn't even matter. You can like chocolate and not like chocolate. It does not matter. But we want to be right, and we want to convert people to our side of this debate that just doesn't matter.
What's
This is
crazy
why I don't
too,
like sports.
It's so crazy too, because when you're little, that's all that exists is your own universe. You don't have the like the whole golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated sort of a thing. It's like it's asking you to think about other people's worlds too, and kind of like have empathy for other people before you even know their circumstances. And that's like hard to do when your brain can't even compute that yet. So
yeah,
it's a lot. Empathy,
there's not enough of it. Not enough empathy. Put yourself in other people's shoes, position. Try and argue from their side of the argument is really, really valuable.
I love this. I love this so much.
No,
I really
that's
do.
not even guaranteed.
No.
You
Money
invest,
solves
will
all
just
problems.
collapse.
Money solves all problems.
Agreed, but it will just there's a chance it will collapse. And that's not the bit I'm arguing with. Whatever you invest in may not be here when it comes time for her to pull that out.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be an interesting journey. I really do need an outlet to just talk about being a parent, because at the time when I had the ripest parent conversation audience, not that you guys aren't, was when I was on radio and I had, 500,000 people, no, 250,000. How many people were listening to us at one point in time? I can't remember, but they were all like basically parents too. But I wasn't a parent at that time. Aaron was the parent and I was the dog mom. And that was kind of how we played off of each other on our radio show. And now I'm a parent, and my only like outlet for that conversationally is here. So thanks for enduring my conversations. You probably would rather hear about animal stories and stuff. So, but thank you for letting me talk about it.
There is a very funny animal story that will be in the outtakes of the show where I get quite heated explaining animals to Danae. I Ian-splain some cats again.
But you know what? I do have an animal story for the, you're right, Slab. I just don't know how I'm going to fit it into my schedule. This is my animal story. This is Twiki. Twiki, come here. Twiki got a haircut. Look at him's little haircut.
Oh, hello, chunky boy.
Look at him. I am Twiki.
Oh, too much love. Do you hear that sigh?
Did you hear
that sigh of happiness?
She's
yeah.
so happy. Let me see if I can.
I heard that sigh.
Can you make a little can you make little happy noises? Nope. And cat updates. I picked up the cat and he leaned into me and rested his head on my shoulder.
That's nice.
And I also have started to add the heating pad and turn the heating pad on for him, so when he comes home and it's god awful cold outside, that he jumps into the house and he has a nice heating pad to jump on right away.
And my idea was to get a heating pad for my mum to manipulate the cat into sitting on her, because she wants her cat to be a lap cat and he is not. I said, you get a heat pad and he'll become a lap cat. Oh,
let's see, Jabbed. I'm going to call you Jabbed. I hadn't experienced that yet. Like the cat lean-in thing, I hadn't. He will let me hold him. He's super good to be held. And Iris can hold him, and he just drapes over her arms like she's just holding out like a piece of fabric, and then he just lays, like flops over.
Take me human.
But usually he's very in control of his spine, and he's looking around. And this time he just was like totally flopped on me. It was really, really sweet.
That's adorable.
And when he comes in at nighttime, he is coming into my bedroom and he'll go, and then he'll jump sometimes on my face on accident. That's been alarming, but there's no injury yet. He'll jump up and then he curls up and he sleeps on the bed with the dogs and me. It's so good.
He's a good boy. He's a really good boy.
Ugh. I love my aminals.
Jubbed. Shall we do some Star Trek, Danae?
Yeah, before we do, thank you again for joining us live. We do have a pretty big update that we're going to get to at the end of the show. So please stick around for that big update. It's a big one. Or should we do it up at the top of the show and the end of the show for those who can't?
Which update are you talking about?
Our scheduling.
Oh, the scheduling. We're doing that today? Yeah, we can do that today. Yeah, we'll do that.
I think because this is our... Is it this week? No. It's next week is our last.
Nope, it's the week after.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's 3. Okay.
Yeah. But
I think an update's okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
So, yes. We have an update to our seasonal schedule. So this is a bit of an update that will take us through to the end of January. Scheduling is a finagly beast, so all of this is subject to change, but I think this is pretty much locked in. So next week will be...
Is it your turn, buddy? Oh, come here, you. I am Reese's. This is my face. I'm the cute one, too.
Look at that little boy.
Sometimes whenever I go to the groomer, they cut my hair and also my eyelashes. But if they don't cut my eyelashes, they're so long.
Did they actually trim his eyelashes?
I think accidentally. It's more like a...
Oh, right. I guess I got a bit there. I don't like anything accidental near the eye. Okay. Sorry.
Back to our announcements.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hello. So next week is as normal. It'll be 12:30 on Friday to do episode 9 of Lower Decks. The season finale, episode 10. The live show will be Saturday the 21st because we can't get the Friday to work. So that'll be 10 a.m. on Saturday the 21st to talk about the season finale of Lower Decks.
Saturday show. So
that's going to be a Saturday show, but I'll update that all in Discord. Now, that episode that we record on Saturday will come out on Wednesday the 25th. So
our normal day.
A normal day. You'll get an episode on Christmas Day. There will be a podcast in the feed on the 1st of January and the 8th of January. And then the 15th and the 22nd, there will be a 2-week break in the podcast feed. And we will return on Wednesday the 29th for coverage of the new Star Trek movie, Section 31. In terms of the live show, that means that the 21st Saturday will be our last
information. I love it.
Will be our last live show of the year, and we will return in a new slot, which will be starting Monday, the 20th of January.
Now, here's how I would give this information.
Wait, no, Monday, the 27th of January.
Let me give this information. We're going to have a few live shows, and then there's going to be no live shows. And then when the live show starts up at the end of January, we're going to be going live on Mondays instead of Fridays.
Yep.
Both of the ways of talking about it, totally valid, but it is a choice. And it's something that we have to attempt something new, and we're going to give it a go. So we have obviously a lot of things to shuffle. It should be, is it noon on Mondays?
No, we'll be going live 1 p.m. on Mondays.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yep. So it'll be 1 o'clock. Sometimes 1:30, but it'll be in that range, just depending.
Yeah, that's the goal.
If the content is longer, so yes, and all times are central. Yep. So that'll remain the same. So we'll have our normal Friday show for a couple more times here, and then we're going to have a live show break, but you'll still have content in your podcast feed. We're only going to have a dark feed for, I think, 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Yeah, podcast feed will be dark for 2 weeks, and that's it. You're going to have, obviously, the Lower Decks finale will come out on Christmas Day. A special episode with the Lorehounds will be coming out on New Year's Day, January the 1st, and that is a special conversation between David and I regarding the motion picture. This is a 2.5, nudging 3-hour conversation about the motion picture. And we do some rankings of movies, of the original series movies as well.
That is
super fun.
I believe 7 p.m. UK time.
And for the live show, yes, correct.
7 p.m. for live show. Yep.
Yeah. Super epic conversation. It was so much fun. So much fun. And then the following week is going to be a slightly different episode as well that we're not going to announce just yet.
So I know we were talking about how the change might come with some live casualties, and we were very, very bummed about that. And I'm so sorry about that, and especially to those who kind of get used to even watching the live recap of this show on Twitch. So it won't be available on Fridays any longer. It's going to shift to being available after our live show on Mondays, and then the podcast comes out on Wednesday. It is not in a spreadsheet. It is in Ian's brain.
No, it is written down, and I think what I'm going to do is put it into like an easy to digest thing that I'll share on Discord, so you can like save the dates and make that a little bit easier to understand.
But yeah, we're gonna have a couple more Fridays together. So we'll be enjoying our time together here as usual on Fridays for a couple more times before the new schedule shifts into gear. Our live break and then our new schedule starting at the end of January. So, okay. So with that announcement, thank you guys for listening to that. Let's get to the show. Your comments are valuable and important. We can't wait to hear what your thoughts are of today's episode. We're going to be talking about Lower Decks, episode 8, which is called Lower Decks, Upper Decks.
Upper Decks.
Lower Decks, Upper Decks. We're talking about decks today. We're going to talk about the today. We're going live on multiple platforms. That will continue when we change over to Mondays. We're live on YouTube for the CSPN channel, and we're live on Twitch for CinemaSins and also my personal Twitch. You can catch this part of the show and then listen to what you didn't hear in the podcast proper. And I think that's it. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. We will pin your comments for later. We do not steal your comments. We have the same thoughts that you do and sometimes steal them. So make sure to interact during the show as best you can. And if you want to save your sins for the sin section, that's fine. We do try to go back and capture thoughts. It is an R-rated show. Thank you for a reminder of that. Anything else I'm missing? I don't think so. Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Welcome to 10 Forward.
The warp cord, though. You got to turn off the warp cord sound.
Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first. What would you like from the replicator ambassador?
Hot soup, of course.
Oh, wasn't it chowder? Is chowder soup?
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's a type of soup.
I think it's in the soup category.
Yeah, it's just a very chunky soup.
Yeah. Are we wrong about that?
No, I think it's a soup. I'm going to stick with that. Yeah, it's the most important question.
I want the hot chowder.
I actually do want some hot chowder. It's freaking freezing in England right now, and I want some chowder. But what I'm actually going to get from the replicator is a gourd.
Oh.
I just want a gourd. A selection of gourds.
Just some gourds.
Yeah.
Was this episode meant to be a Halloween episode?
I mean,
it was very Halloween-y.
The gourds would suggest so. I think that's
zombies?
2. Yeah, that's like 2 Halloween episodes. Neither of them took place anywhere near Halloween. It's amazing.
It's also, there was like a little bit of gore, when the bug guy came out of the other. Yeah.
Shed his alien skin suit to reveal his non-humanoid features. It was amazing. Right. Give us a synopsis, Ambassador. Although no big surprises, to be honest.
Sure. In today's episode, we learned that Ian's prediction was correct. This
probably my best one yet.
Was all about those upper deckers and very little about those that we actually
I know what's coming.
Want to see more
of. Yeah.
But can't. But are we glad that we got to see a little bit more of them before Lower Decks wraps up forever?
Are we?
Stay tuned. Today, their mission was to work with roly-poly invisicows and an invading cricket species and their own internal demons, whether it's pain management or being haunted about mass genocide.
Yeah.
And also the Eiffel Tower makes an appearance. That's about it.
Can't have a romantic dinner without Paris, apparently. Overall thoughts and feelings, Ambassador. This is to echo your prediction from the beginning of the show, is that you would be incredibly bored if this was an episode just about our upper deckers. So how did you feel about it?
Oh, you can't be bored in this episode. This is one of those where even if you don't like what's happening, it's so fast paced that something about your body's survival mechanisms kicks in, and you're experiencing the adrenaline rush of fast paced storytelling that is being launched into your eyeballs. And so there's something about, like, you have to stick around for the crazy wild ride. And so I found myself about partway through going, maybe I'm glad that I get to see these characters sort of like one more time. And maybe I'm glad to see them like epically approach their day-to-day lives. Maybe I like that the perception of the lower deckers is that everything is boring and nothing happens, but that's because they just miss out on these kinds of things. That there's some people on the ship who may not know at the end of the day the insanity that has been weaving itself through the fabric of reality for other people. And that so I think I actually like this episode, but there was
interesting,
but that's because I'm choosing to pretend it's not the final season. So I think I did. I think I liked the episode today.
Yeah.
What about you?
The timing is very interesting. It is an episode. It feels like I was watching it for 3 minutes, maybe. Like it packs in a lot of story, deliberately so. Like the whole conceit is that it packs in 7 different stories.
It's crazy.
Like all of like the main cast B plots that you would see in an episode of TNG, every single one of them is in this episode, and that's the function of it. Which is why, for me, you know how like we love doing food metaphors. I'm sorry if it annoys anyone.
I was about to do one as well.
I would love it if we had the same metaphor here.
We probably do.
It sounds strange, but putting a burger onto your restaurant, if you're a restaurant, is a choice, because it will be the thing 75% of people choose. They will go in and have a burger because it's consistent. You don't have to risk anything. I'm going to get a cheeseburger, so it's going to be nice. That's kind of what this felt like to me, because it was covering all of like the possible main crew tropes. It was a fine cheeseburger that didn't have a lot of depth. Like I didn't take much out of it at all, other than that was some fun stuff to watch. Okay, I guess technically I'm full from this episode, but it did very, very little for me in terms of like sustenance and filling. The only like metaphor that I really like is what kicks off the episode with with Boimler saying, like, hey, maybe they are living lives. I can't remember, Mariner or Boimler. Maybe they're all living lives that we don't know about. And like that acknowledgement that the conceit of Lower Decks is that we don't know what the lower deckers are doing, and the lower deckers may not know what the upper deckers are doing. Like acknowledging that conceit was fun for me, but then it went into an episode I didn't really do much for me.
Mm-hmm. I loved it. I had such a good time. I don't think I've spent as much time with the Upper Decks crew as maybe you have, having watched more of the show than me too. So like getting to see Billups was like, oh my God, what a great character. And then Dr. Tana, you know, she is fascinating to me with just this whole pain thing. And it's goofy and silly. And so many laws had to be broken with just the doctor alone.
Oh yeah, for real.
The history of the security officer, like just there's this interesting kind of thing that it did for me where it balanced out their character background. But the star for me was Billups in today's episode. What about like if you had to pick your favorite flavor? And I do want to do my food metaphor, but if you had to pick a favorite flavor from the episode, which one did you like kind of the most?
It's Billups as well.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be, because I'm always a sucker for a Geordie episode. especially when it's something really technical, like the bottle episodes where they're all in engineering, and it's Geordie and it's Data and it's an LCAR screen, and all they're doing is talking backwards and forwards with techno babble and typing in things really fast and rerouting all of the stuff to solve the problem.
Right.
And if at the end of it, the Enterprise happens to do like a handbrake turn around a meteor to escape a nebula, I'm happy. So I think that's why like the Billups thing appealed to me the most as well. But that isn't saying much, because the other B plots were so ridiculous that it went past the point of me being able to enjoy it, because it was so like, what are we actually doing? Like the Shax one I get because it's all in his mind. That would be like a close second. But the Clickets, it's ridiculous. Dr. Ta'ana being a masochist and getting like tortured didn't work for me. The ransom thing is fucking ridiculous. I don't know. They were like so far into the realm of absurd that I didn't enjoy it.
So,
and that hurts. That hurts me to say. It really does. I think
my food metaphor will help as we digest the rest of this. I imagine this episode is like if my 7-year-old daughter cooked like 7 or 8 different things for me and then just started to say, test this, try this, do this, test this. And it feels like I took a spoonful of whatever she wanted me to taste and she shoved it in my mouth and asked if I liked it and then didn't wait to hear my response. And my palate had no chance to process what I was eating before it got to the next thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And then those merged together, and then by the 7th or 8th spoonful of different things, I don't really know what the taste menu was.
The point, it was like experiencing all of these different things. Don't worry about what it tastes like.
Exactly.
You've experienced it.
Yeah, don't worry what was in there. And so as we kind of go back through and look at everything individually, for example, I don't like the taste of licorice. So if one of her little spoonfuls had licorice in it, when it passed into my brain, I'm like, oh, that's not something that I like, but it doesn't matter because really quickly after is peanut butter.
Yeah.
And so now that we're going to go back through, I think I'm going to find more flavors I probably don't like some of the extreme storytelling with Dr. Ta'ana and even Shax for me. I know some of the chats like really, really liking Shax.
I liked the
wasn't
Shax bit.
That interesting to me, but this is the kind of buffet that you're going to find whatever you like and kind of move on. Ransom also was annoying because at one point I wrote down in my notes, like, why are they treating him like an idiot? I've seen such great moments in the past of him having this leadership style that I was coming to respect a little bit.
Yes.
And then it just stabbed it to death in this one. Like it was
this is pushing it all the way to the extremes. Like there's a subtlety to how Ransom acts that we were giving him some credit for.
Right.
Then this spells it out and takes it to like the extreme of the concept, and that broke it for me.
Yeah, I don't know if again, looking at the individual ingredients that I am going to be super excited, but I think overall, and this is something that was kind of mentioned also in the chat too, about this episode. I wonder if I can quickly find it, but it's kind of the idea of how they put the whole episode together and how wild and crazy it would be if you tried to take a quick 1-second snapshot of what's going on a starship at any given day. And we're just focusing on the upper decks crew, but it must just be a wild experience. And I like the idea that we can do that. I like that it's in this format where we can be a bit silly and wild. And like, how would they have accomplished this with live action? You know, the ghost of Shax. It would be insane. Yeah, it would really fall short, and it would be really disconnected from how we consume our kind of more serious content, a la Strange New Worlds style, which they usually have sometimes multiple plot lines going on. It's just in this case, it was so incredibly extreme and sometimes very, very silly. Dr. Ta'ana, for example. Yeah. But then it was kind of paced well a little bit with Captain Freeman sort of just casually walking through her day. Yeah,
I'm glad that hers was like quite a calm element. There was a nice little break between like hyper frenetic scene she was like kind of connecting together. I don't know that this is avoidable, and I'm not like, I'm trying not to be too critical of the show because I don't think it's missing a trick. I think this is a product of what it was trying to do with this episode. Like I think the bug is the feature. Like the goal was to, hey, you know, when we have these random episodes where Worf is fighting a battle from his past, Deanna is annoyed about something, Crusher is annoyed about some medical thing, Geordie has a B plot. It is deliberately pulling together all of the main crew, TNG, Voyager, B plots that weave together that we haven't seen and doing them all at once. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's no way they didn't know that this is cramming a lot into one episode, but it still doesn't work. It still doesn't work. Like, I'm so glad this is just a one-off, and I think I'll end up giving it a bit of a pass internally because the function is to show what all of these main crew people are doing because we don't have a full season of playing with them. That's not the point of the show.
This is an episode I actually want to watch again because I think I'm missing some of what the writers probably very intentionally did with the layout and the structure of the episode. And it does telegraph itself by saying when Captain Freeman says, see, this is why we attend the conferences in the morning and do the debriefs and stuff, because there was a tidbit of information that ended up paying off later in the show about Cricket's not doing well with compliments, and that kind of is what saves the day at the end. But like that conference room meeting moment that I think I missed some things in there of the crew kind of coming together and trying to talk about the important things that are going on, give everybody like a quick heads up before heading off to their stations for the day and doing what they're doing for the day. Oh, they don't just sit on the bridge. You know, they're going out to the ship, doing things that need to be done. And then when shit goes sideways, that's where they assemble to make the big decisions all kind of in one place. And so it's this interesting look at what life is like. And I think it would be fast-paced. And we've talked about this before, how it just seems utterly ridiculous to us that there's this casual reaction to all of these things happening. And yet, if that was just your every fucking day, that you have a little chat with your crew, and then all this stuff happens, and, you know, she's sitting there watching people play the tuba and give birth. I know it's not a tuba, sorry. And
I thought it was a tuba.
Was it a tuba?
I think it was.
Barephone, I don't know what it's called. So there's this, and she's doing all of these things, and by the time it gets to the point of the day, by the time it gets to the point in the day where she would need the Cricket information, she's having to pull that out of this part of her brain that has been flooded with other things going on.
Yeah.
So it was it's interesting to think about.
Well,
how much is intentional? Like, did the 7-year-old think about, you know, the licorice and peanut butter dishes side by side, or was that an accident? I don't know. Am I reading into things? I don't know.
Maybe like it is the clickets thing, like in compliments, that is set up for the line at the end when she's like, this is why you listen to the briefing. It's not just filler, it's important. Well, it's important because that's the way the script was written. But that's kind of like the build up for that. The rest of the briefing is to insult Anna and give her some criticism that she has to think about throughout the day, which is okay, cool, to reestablish her. That's the one I really struggled with. Like, what was the purpose of like the Dr. Ta'ana story there? Like, to reassess pain management and like why she's being so stingy with the painkillers. Like, I can't get my head around
the joke. It's in service of the joke that this doctor had changed or altered how people report their pain. It's either I'm in no pain or I'm okay. Like, whenever it had the smiley face on the, you know, when you go to the doctor's office right now, they have you rated on a scale of like 1 to 10. She just had 2 options. yes, pain, I'm okay. So
Yeah.
the joke. So in service of the joke, she needed to change that back. And, obviously there had been a lot of complaints about that. I don't know if that's something that had come up in previous episodes, and this is sort of a payoff of that, or if they're just kind of like digging into her extreme character.
I get the joke. I just want to know what's beyond the joke, other than the ha, she doesn't understand pain the same way we do. Like that's what's beyond that, because the joke is fine, but there's usually like something underneath the joke that's actually a thing that we're exploring.
To me, it was entirely it's just a character part that this species does not feel pain like everyone else and needed to be reminded of that. I kind of related to that a little bit because I don't feel pain the same way others do. And so even with Iris, I worry that I'm not giving her the attention that she might need if she hurts herself. I don't react a lot when she will fall down or something, and I wait to see how she reacts, and then I kind of gauge off of that.
Well, yeah, that's smart.
But even still, she was talking about something kind of hurting yesterday, and I asked if she wanted me to take a look at it or whatever. But in my head, I'm just like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So there's this indifference that this character had to other people, and that character should be more open to that there's some people need to have pain medicine because they can't tolerate as much. So I think that's possible. And that's, to me, this episode it doesn't really matter what her story was. It's going to have something and tell us something about this character that maybe the audience wants to know. And I don't know if this is true because you're the one who's seen more of it, but when I'm thinking about the episode, it's helping me to give just a little bit more detail about the Upper Decks crew and care about them a little bit more. Like I did not understand people's adoration of Billups until today.
Yeah, no, I get that. There are like a couple of Billups episodes that I think are in season 2 that you haven't seen that really add a bit more depth to him. The live chat, I want to mention David, because I'm like so perplexed by the Dr. Tahana thing. David said it was an extreme homage to when the Doctor on Voyager gave himself the flu to understand what the crew was feeling, because he was like being very flippant about people with headaches and stuff. And he programs himself to have the flu so that he can experience what it feels like.
I remember that.
But he sets a time limit on it, and B'Elanna steps in and removes the time limit and makes the symptoms worse. And he's just like, I've broken myself. I've broken my program. I'm miserable. I may die. This flu is the worst. And then B'Elanna comes in and fixes it and says, no, it's all right. It wouldn't have been real if you knew when it was going to end. So I changed the end date of the flu so that you'd really experience it. So, and that makes sense to me. And I guess this is just a watered down version of that. I get it.
This is not watered down. This would be next. This
hyped
is
up version of that. Yeah. But to your point, I don't know what more that told me about Ta'ana. Like that, if the function has to be giving us some more experience with the Upper Deckers, I don't know what more I got from Ta'ana that I didn't already have.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And as we evaluate the different stories, I think I come to the same place. Wandering in the chat says, coming off of last week where she said she didn't want to do cosmetic surgery stuff. If she also doesn't want to manage pain, why is she a doctor?
Yeah, right. What is she doing?
It is interesting to kind of go, okay, so what is the adoration or what is the motivation rather of this career choice? And this did not answer that question. If that's a question of yours, it kind of only proposes more, but it does serve as a vehicle for delivering some really funny moments, like when she bursts out of the room and she's in feral cat form and she is shot with a weapon, and I think he says that was set to kill, and she's like, I'm set to kill, or whatever she says.
So am I. Just like calls the shit out of him. We all love Dr. Ta'ana doing that. Like, that's flying, so fun.
And then she lands in like what we call sometimes hero pose, but it's like cat squat pose in the front of the camera. That's just a great shot. It's
so good.
It's so fun to see, and it's such a unique thing to see in Star Trek world, because that would not be happening in any other format for us to enjoy. No. But it's definitely one of those where you got to kind of, if you don't like that flavor, move on to the next one because we got a lot to cover. You know, you got a lot we can pull out of this episode.
I do love at the end when she's being comforted while like the soup is on her, and he's just like, "There's a good kitty." And she's like, "Fuck you!" The like purrs
but
because she's
smiles.
getting the head scratches.
Yeah,
so cute. I love that.
Before we move on from her, Flyboy points out a quote: "Sick people come in, healthy people go out, and that's enough for her." God, don't I know those people?
Oh man,
like, the result is all you need. I know those people.
It should be all you need. It should. I am those people. Back to like the very, very beginning. The thing that did tweak my brain the most was like how like meta and spelling out Mariner and Boimler were telling us what this episode was going to be. I was like, oh, we're the stars of the show. Nothing happens here. We're kind of like the main characters, and like really spelling it out. That made me chuckle. I did like that. But I love the perspective that I think it was Mariner that said it's not like our command crew are pretty crap. Like they're not great. It's not like they're Kirk, Janeway, or Picard. And it was interesting for me because I think that was really deliberate.
They didn't say Picard. They said Cisco.
Oh, did they? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I just want to point that out because I was waiting for Picard and I heard Cisco and I was like, "Whoa, that's not my captain."
That's not my board captain. So I think it's interesting that maybe I hope that's a nod to the fact that maybe during like season 1, season 2 of Picard, of TNG, before Picard was legendary, during like the early seasons of Deep Space Nine, where Cisco isn't even a captain yet, he's a commander. Janeway had her first command was Voyager. So from all of those, we know them as legends now, but when their lower deckers were working, were they also thinking, man, it's not like our command crew is Kirk and some other famous captain. Yeah. Does every lower decker, are all of them unaware of how incredible their command crew is? It's not just like our lower deckers that are the exception. And that's the actual message, is that every command crew is legendary and every lower decks crew is legendary. It's just hard to see it when you're in the puzzle piece and you're in the kitchen and you don't get to see all of the bits of the machine way. So that gave me something to really ponder about. That was interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that angle.
I'm going to skip around in the episode a bit. I want to go to the Delta crew, Beta crew infighting
yes.
in the shuttle bay. What do you think that was in service of the greater story for Lower Decks?
Well, that's a nod to, you have like the different shifts on the crew. And I think in Lower Decks, the episode in TNG, they have a dig about like the different shifts not getting along, because it's based on like some shifts would never interact with each other. So Delta shift would be doing like the night shift or something. So Beta shift would be asleep when Delta shift are awake. So I think it's just a tribalism thing where this is one of the rare occasions where Delta shift and Beta shift would have to work together. And we are tribal people for the sake of being tribal. So they can't articulate why they don't like each other. They just don't, because they're on different teams. It's a sports reference thing as well. Like, I just don't like that team because they're not my team.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. I was a little confused about what that was doing for the story besides, I mean, I know Ransom has an opportunity to quote unquote shine as a quote unquote leader in his quote unquote unconventional ways.
Yeah. That's the bigger function of it. He needs a problem to solve. And this is his problem. Yeah.
Should we talk about Ransom then, since we're kind of in the shuttle bay in our imaginations right now?
Yeah.
Just get that out of the way.
Yeah, we'll get it out of the way. Like, the bugs were fun. Like, the bugs that can, like, cloak themselves and then zip away, like, that's a fun bit of slapstick and, like, an interesting alien creature that they have to deal with as well. But his logic of, I'm going to give them a common enemy, there are easier ways to get this job done. Like, instead of boring them to death, just be a dick, be a Jellicoe, and just like scream at them and like beat them. Like, there's a way to give them a collective enemy that doesn't mean boring them with a story that goes on for ages and then falling asleep at your post and like putting everyone at risk. Like, there's easier ways to get this done, or just don't try and manipulate them. Just be a normal fucking human. But it's a cartoon. I'm trying not to take it too seriously, but it annoyed me. It really, really did annoy me. Ransom's spelling out his method of command.
Yeah, his way of leading has always caused me to kind of scratch my head. But I think for me, the greater, and this is certainly something sinful, but not something I wrote down in my sin. So I'll just say it now before I forget. It felt wrong to me that when they get to the shuttle bay and you have the the Beta Delta crew arguing back and forth with each other, that Ransom wasn't more serious about how that looks to this person who has come on board to do this thing. And and the story knows, the writers know that person doesn't matter at the end of the day because they're an infiltrator. But they don't know that. And so the casualness of just letting this person see this infighting that ultimately causes damage to the ship, and like no one gets in trouble for being really unprofessional. Like, it just seemed that the conversations between the two of them could have lasted a lot. Like, it could have been shorter and been more believable. Like, and maybe because of Ransom's leadership, he lets it go on because he has his own ways of dealing with that stuff. I just think that if it was a regular episode and that wasn't an infiltrating, doppelganger guy, that would not have happened, because Star Trek would not have let that sort of behavior linger with their crew. That would have been like, hey guys, you got to pull it together. We've got a job to do. And they'd been like, you're right. Sorry about that. Let's get it in line. We'll talk about our issues privately later. Or it would happen in 10 Forward or whatever. You know what I mean?
Or I'd hope the Federation guy would be reporting Ransom straight back to the Federation. It's like, there is some fucking weird leadership happening on the Cerritos. We need to investigate them immediately.
Yeah, that was my first sign that something else was happening. And it made me uneasy because it was disrespectful.
Yeah, it feels weird.
It just doesn't feel, it doesn't feel like it's something that would be allowed unless the story is going to a place where this character that's trying to figure out how to milk the space cows or whatever is going to do their job. I don't know if that's why he was actually there. I wasn't paying attention to that part, but
I think he was just there to supervise, like, the creatures being brought on board so that the Federation biologist could investigate them properly. I think he was just there like in a supervisory capacity.
I will say I now would love to have a space cow, like plush, roly-poly, like little...
It's adorable,
like a little pillow. You remember the Popples from the 80s?
No, I wasn't around in the 80s.
Well, you could still have seen like famous toys from the 80s.
It's true. No, I don't remember them.
There was this toy called the Popple, and its whole shtick was that you could fold it into itself, into this pocket, and it would become a ball, and then you could pull it out, and it was really, really cute. I think you could turn them inside out, like in that way.
I love it.
I loved my Popple. I would love to have another Popple, but if they made a Popple version of the space cow, that would be so great. Yeah. Because it rolls up.
Yeah.
And I love that it goes invisible. And it has a hide that lets it hide. Wah, wah, wah.
Best line of the episode.
I do love the shenanigans happening in the shuttle bay, though. Just to throw all caution and disrespect to the wind. That was a really fun set, so to speak. Just this sort of... like, they're trying to pull in this space animal, and then they accidentally pull in this rock that attracts more. Why are they not just closing the shuttle bay? I don't know, but still, it was fun, and the chaos was exciting.
No, it was fun. Like, the energy, it almost like it's distracting. Like, all of the fun and the energy behind them trying to wrangle these bug cows. They don't even look like cows. It's ridiculous.
But they did moo.
Did they moo? Oh, I missed
did.
the moo. Oh, that's adorable. That's adorable. I guess we can move on to Shaq. So you said that this was the bit of the episode that didn't quite work for you. This is the one I liked more than the others because, like, I get it. It's like it's a classic dealing with like inner demons and metaphorical internal battles. It's a very, very Star Trek B plot thing to do. But it didn't work too well for you.
No, it felt like. I don't know how to describe this. Is this the first time we've seen him have this happen?
Yes.
Okay. It was so much.
Yeah, it was a lot of exposition in this one. That's probably why I liked it.
Yeah. I maybe
a
that's
lot
why
dealing with his demons.
Yeah, but why did you like it? Because I'm trying to kind of understand why I wasn't connecting, to it.
Yeah.
We basically had an invisible mental battle and a breakdown of mass murder and a war, and he was seeing things, and I do love that it ended with therapy. I do love that, but yeah, I don't know. What did you like about it?
I think it's the exact opposite problem that I had with the Doctor to Anna part. Like, this does give me some more insight into Shax. And it's not like anything surprising. Like, we know he's Bajoran. We know he's was part of the Resistance. We know all of this about him. We know he's obviously not going to be a fan of Cardassians. But it was something, it just gave it a bit of extra depth for me. It felt like a Worf episode where, yeah, we know Worf is a Klingon. We know he has all of this troubles with like connecting with his traditions and whatnot. But it was just fun to see, for me, to see Shax actually deal with it and spell it out. Like, we know that there was some big battle. The explosion is probably why he lost like the use of his eye, battling a ton of Cardassians. And it's nice to see that he's still dealing with that and struggling with that. And then the joke on top of it is that it's through this vision quest where he has to fight his inner self, and then that gets translated into fighting the Clickets. For me, that's where the joke is there, but the joke is overlaid on top of something that's actually meaningful and something that I actually did want some like extra context and extra depth to. I didn't have that with Ta'ana or Ransom really so much.
Yeah. They could have given us interesting information about Ransom and how he became the type of leader that he is. And they could have given us some back information. I guess, well, for the Doctor, maybe it's just like her species doesn't feel pain or something like that. But they did choose to kind of give more understanding of the security officers' approach to, or maybe what makes them so intense, potentially. Yeah. But he's also just like a big, great guy too, but this is definitely the warrior sort of side of him. The Battle of Timpasa is what I wrote down.
Yeah, no idea what it was, but just it'll be something that happened on Bajor with the Cardassians for sure.
I think the parts that were confusing for me is there must be symbolism in fighting his younger self that then turned into a ghost with red eyes instead, and there was just a lot going on with the interaction that could have been simplified in order to serve the greater story of the episode, which is there's already a lot kind of going on. Yeah. And every time we cut over to his story, there's even like more going on. There's a bomb. There's a whole bunch of people that he's killed. They're all fighting each other, and he's having an out-of-body experience, and he's fighting himself, and his self is saying, as time passes, I get stronger while you grow older and fade away. I think, to control you, I have to control myself. So I guess like the idea that in the back of Shax's mind, he's always on the verge or he's sometimes on the verge of letting this warrior just completely take over. And that is a very Worf-esque vibe. And to understand more of why he's holding, like, I understand why Worf is kind of holding back in a way. Because I spent a lot of episodes with him, and they've given me some context as to his demeanor and what he's kind of doing. But Shax, I don't like what was his motivation, just not to murder everybody. Like what would happen if this person took over?
Well, I think the interesting thing is that the Bajorans have very recently gone from fighting for survival and using like guerrilla warfare. Like the Cardassians would call them terrorists because the tactics that they had to use were like just absolute desperation. Every single mission that you go on could be your last one to fight for freedom. And then transitioning out of that survival instinct into, okay, not everything is battle stations, not everything is red alert. This can now be measured because we're not on the back foot anymore. Like he's part of a crew. He's not being occupied by an alien species. He has his independence back. So not every single mission has to be fight to the death, blow up the warp core. And I think that's why, like, his running joke is eject the warp core. Like, he always goes straight to 100% because when he's fighting against the Cardassians, the Bajoran militia the underground had no choice but to be as extreme as they could to try and defeat the Cardassians. So I think it's him wrestling back to like kind of some form of normality, but that fighter inside him is still there saying, nope, there's a battle around the corner. You've got to be ready.
That makes sense.
And I'm going to be a sucker for that because that's getting like deep into like the Bajoran psyche, and that's really fun. The red ice thing, go on.
And also you have a whole series, Deep Space Nine,
absolutely, where
I don't usually like the Bajorans, the Cardassians. These kind of those stories are not storylines I've dug into a bunch. I've seen the people on screen in those makeups, and so can recognize that species, but I don't have the history that you do. And I think maybe that's also part of why
totally
it's
makes
interesting
sense
for you to kind of see, oh, wow, so here he is like in this wartime, just single-handedly taking out all of these people.
Just dozens of Cardassians.
Yeah.
And it also like of course, I'm going to read into a lot, but the red eyes and that like demon possessing him, there's the wormhole aliens that like believe the Bajorans are their children and they're like the gods, the prophets that they worship. But there's also the Paraves, which is like the devil. So they're the evil versions, the other side of the coin. And I think when the Paraves possessed, they possessed Gul Dukat and they've possessed other people. I think there was like a red glowing eye thing that happens when they get possessed. So I think this is like he worships the prophets, but the Paraves are fighting for his soul as well. And I think that's something else he's battling with. Again, someone in the chat mentioned this could have been an entire episode. Hard agree.
It really could have. Yes.
It absolutely could have done. Yeah. And I know that's not the point of this episode, but I love that as an idea.
But we're lucky that it was in this episode because he would have been murdering actual people.
Yes.
When they came in to say, hey, are you okay?
What if just random crew members had come in and he murders
That's
them
one of the
all?
biggest sins of the episode for me is
completely
when people
sense.
Should be going to check up on this guy. They will all be whatever he said, something about Papa Bear or whatever his.
Yes.
They would
come
just
in, welcome to the Bear Pack.
The Bear Pack. Yeah. What a welcome. Is that how he actually welcomes people? Just breaking their spine?
It's so good. But I love that he apologized. He's like, sorry, buddy, sorry.
Sorry about that guy.
I do want to talk about a couple of positives. One that I absolutely loved was at the opening briefing. Billups is saying that he plans on like repairing something specific on the bridge, and I missed the name of it. And
Ransom, give it the thing that falls down.
Yes,
I wrote this down.
Oh my god, it's perfect.
I wrote it down because I thought that it was so funny.
Yes.
It's the geek explanation as to why the panels are falling.
And because Ransom says, "Oh, I'm so glad you're going to fix that because they keep falling on my head whenever we're in a battle." And it's a reference to when the bridge is exploding. Why do girders keep falling down? Why do rocks and rubble keep exploding from everywhere? Like the bridge is such a dangerous place to be, especially during Voyager times when they're in a battle and everything falls down around them. And Billups explains it. He says, "Oh, the reason that there are girders and then there are rocks in the ceiling is to like divert the warp core neutron flow." It's such a beautiful lower decks thing to give an in-universe canon explanation for why there's rubble in the walls. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so great.
And it's like a side conversation. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever,
But it's great. I love it.
Even I stopped and said, "Oh, that's funny."
It's so funny.
That's really
I love
funny.
it.
Can we talk a little bit more about Billups, though? I know you've got probably more things that were really positive, but I really loved, and I think saying that I loved it is fine, but I kind of want to get into it a little bit.
That's actually, sorry, I forgot about that part of the
episode. There's this amazing thing about engineering. It's one of my favorite sets for
It's
TNG.
magical.
Yeah, the warp core. But they take these panels off, and it's just so fun to look at. And then he's explaining that it's just this overheated plasma stuff, and it's because he had this retrofitted thing he just kind of forgot that he was supposed to go back and fix. And all of a sudden, they're strapped to the side of the room, and for some reason, the panels are now extending like even higher than I remember them being in the previous scene. But whatever,
way higher.
And then they're just zip lining up. They're like tugging and then just zipping up to the top. And you have this person that's working beside Billups, who obviously is a little nervous about everything. And every single time we cut back to engineering, I was having such a fun time with it. From him just showing such a delight in, you take off one panel, it's now your responsibility to figure out what's going on. You can't just put the panel back.
That explains like the extra of the week. And I was like, what's this random engineering extra that we're dealing with? And it's like the logic behind that is, oh yeah, they're the person that found the problem. Therefore, this week they have to deal with it. Again, explaining like one of the bugs of older episodes of Star Trek is so fun.
It's so fun. And then when we come back and they're doing the side by side, working at the stations, just techno babble just pouring out of their mouths. And then we get to the scene where he's trapped in a tube with smoke inside of it saying his farewells. And how did that hit you? Because
every engineer wants to die in a tube.
Yes, alone in a tube. And then there's this, emergency axe. And she's, well, what do you think an emergency is? And she breaks it. And then the day just kind of continues. And another person comes along and says, hey, you want to go check out this panel? And he's like, yes, I do. Because he is a machine. And I loved it. I loved it so much.
Other than
there's only one part I didn't like, but yeah.
Oh, go on.
No, I want to hear your thoughts too.
Other than Shaxx is the most cohesive part, is the most cohesive story in the episode for me, or the most satisfying. I guess the ransom one is cohesive to it, just I don't like it. But I really like this because it is a day in the life of engineering. And that's the overall theme of the episode. It's a day in the life of this person from Upper Decks. And I love that because it's every engineering trope.
It was great.
He says, you've got to get past this, but remember, its weakness is talking about something sad that happened in your childhood.
I didn't like. So what is that?
So that is I watched an episode, I can't remember what I watched, but I watched an episode of Star Trek the other day, and this random extra is just like talking about something that happened in their childhood. And it's just, this is like a movie trope as well. Like, you have to have this sincere scene where we break into this new character or the main character, and they say, well, when I was 12, I watched my mama die. She fell out of a tree, and I was never the same since. And it always has to be some sad, traumatic thing from their childhood that relates back to the story that's happening now. And maybe it's like, hey, why are you so angry with me all the time? Well, you've got the same eye color as the dog that left me when I was a child. That's why I don't like you. So it's just that trope of, no, the story's got to be really sad. And that like makes your presence as an extra worthwhile, because you're not just here as a random extra. It's because your backstory matters.
I definitely see what you're saying. The part that I really, really did not enjoy was that it was this AI monster. That took it way too far for me. Like
the AI golem,
way too far.
The Outcast thing just came out as I loved that.
I would believe that the doctor would allow someone to torture her to find a pain scale 100 times more than I would believe that there's a way that Billup has created a way for the computer screen to push itself out of the side of a panel and grow into a face and a mouth and then consume him.
He didn't
that is
make
so
it. My defense is that the Binars made it. The Binars are very, very good at computers, and they made it. So they made the AI golem, and anything is possible with AI. It's yeah.
That's your explanation is Binar made it, and AI has a lot of possibility.
Yeah. Oh, it made like seeing the LCARS panel come to life just gave me such joy, because there's not many things that we haven't personified. Like the Enterprise has been given a personality. Basically everything has come to life at some point other than the LCARS operating system itself, and it tickled me. But I get it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I'm not saying it doesn't work as a humor beat. I'm saying that inside the actual world of Star Trek, I don't know how that is possible. And the idea that the solution is to tell a sad story from a humor perspective. Ha ha ha. God,
I'm being a complete hypocrite.
But but from an actual practical perspective.
Yeah.
That is one of the dumbest things this show has ever done.
This is just as unbelievable and stupid as Ta'ana being tortured and Ransom falling asleep on the deck.
It's not just as stupid. It's way worse. Ta'ana,
for me, it's just as stupid, but I'm a hypocrite because it worked for me. And that's why I think this episode does work overall. There's just so many parts of it that are too weird for me, and it's so weird talking about Lower Decks because I feel like such a dick, because it's just a cartoon, it's just fun, but it's in Star Trek, so I have like 900 episodes of like, man, this is so contradictory, what am I doing? It's so complicated to talk about.
Here's what would be absolutely wild to do. I'm not saying we should do this, but I'm just saying it'd be wild, is to, in this episode alone, because you could probably do it for any Lower Decks episode, is to take it and rank it in order of the most likely thing to happen on a starship to the absolute impossible least likely thing. And I know writers can explain away anything today. They explained away while the panels on the ceiling have rocks in them. It's just taken a long time for them to get to that. But to me, this would be the most least likely. This would be the extreme example of the least likely thing to ever happen on a starship.
Man, that doesn't. Yeah, no, I disagree. I think that the least likely for me is having a chief medical officer that's just like split my atoms, cut me open, like perform surgery on me. Like that is more unbelievable personality wise for me than an AI thing. We've seen fucking ridiculous technology in Star Trek. Like that.
This is why it would be fun.
Doesn't even crank the top 10.
This is why it would be really, really, really fun to do it, because I would have such a different expectation, and I have almost no credentials with which to back myself up.
No, I'm here bringing like a list of like citations, and you're just like, but feelings, instinct,
which is important, like you said. This is like an important part. What other parts of the episode today worked for you, or you kind of liked? I mean, I think we talked about. We didn't talk about Captain Freeman.
The only bit we haven't talked about is Freeman doing, like, captains are always busy, so they always have like appointments to care for.
It things just did what it did for me. That wasn't really anything.
That was fine. It doesn't really kick off until the Clickit reveals itself to her, and then that kicks off, and she has "You don't like compliments, so I salute you,"
because I'm paying attention in my meetings.
Everyone goes off. Yeah. It didn't do much for me, to be honest.
And I guess our actual Lower Deck appears at the end. So they're at the beginning, at the end, like a delicious sandwich.
Good little sandwich.
Did anything happen when they returned that was interesting? I don't think I pointed anything out.
Tallinn ribs Mariner, which was fun. Has a joke at her expense. I'm like, I made a joke at your expense. Boom.
Boom.
I got a nice little chuckle out of that. No, not much else happens. The Freeman thing is it's the thing that brings everyone together, but it was probably the second weakest part for me. The compliments work, so they all run away. That's functionally, that asks me so many questions.
Yeah, they were in far more danger from the roly-poly cows than they were.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah.
The invisible roly-poly cows, like that's pretty cool.
And
the little cow at the end, and you see it trying to run to catch up to its mom and herd.
It's amazing.
Just moving its little bitty legs as fast as it could, and then ultimately deciding that rolling through space is better, which doesn't make it. It doesn't make any sense. It's fine.
Friction. The legs definitely shouldn't be working. I did like Strong and Brave, Wise and True. That's what makes us a Ritos crew. Like, they have to have their own chant. Was really funny to me to match the lower decks.
Oh, okay.
I think that's why they did that.
Even though you hate that kind of stuff in real life.
Even though I hate that team building bullshit in real life. The couple of other references that came up was the guy that's doing the poetry, the one-man show thing, says that he felt invisible like Geordie and Ro. Was a reference to the next phase where everybody thinks Geordie and Ro die, but they actually just end up with being phase cloaked and they're invisible, but they think they're ghosts until they realize that they're not. So just a nice random reference.
I also want to mention the character that is, and that there's like the last 2 episodes. It's the guy that talks in metaphors.
Oh, Kishon. Yeah.
What a great character.
Kishon is great. He needs his own episode. He's incredible.
I don't know about that. Because then we're going into the same problem.
Oh, we're going back into Darmok.
I don't want to go back into Darmok.
Well, he's that species. That's him.
But I do like the presence of this alien species because, and it's such a casual thing. Like, he's like, when he reports in and he's basically like, when the water's still, like, just nothing happening over here. Everything's good. I understand that reference. That's kind of nice. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I love him. He's great. We didn't actually get a lot of time for it. And I think he was only introduced in season 2. So he was a later addition.
He's an Egyptian?
Yes, that too. Battle Tuba was fun. I liked that. I liked the battle. Oh, sorry. Battle sousaphone, not tuba. It was a sousaphone.
Yes, I guess.
Deflecting all the lasers was fun.
It is what it is.
Anything else before we go into some sins?
Nope.
All right, let's head over to engineering to do some sins and fix the rickety jerry rigging stuff that I've had to hold together in engineering. Sorry, Ambassador. Watch out for the cables.
Okay.
Battle stations, red alert. This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sim brains, remind ourselves that no TV shows without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. We talked about a lot of stuff that didn't work. Did you have any plot, any weird sins, anything that you want to see, Ambassador?
There was one that I thought was a pretty significant sin, which is, so they defeat the bad guys, and then the captain of the other ship says that, he gets all of them away, like he emergency beams them back away. But in the final scene, you see one being led away with a tuba on his head, and that they would have all have been beamed off.
That's very true.
So I didn't like that.
Yeah, why did he get left behind? That's a good point.
Why was he special?
Good point. Before I get into my sins, we'll quickly do Pips. Pips, Ambassador.
Oh, Pips. I'm going to give this episode 3 pips. I'm tempted to go 3.5. Because I think it swings for the fences, and at the end of the day, as a whole, I think the show is better off to have an episode that gives more context for the upper deckers. And I think it's needed. Even though I would rather spend time with my people and know what happens to them, because I know it's the end, I think that it serves the greater story really nicely. And it's a really fun look at a day in the life on a starship.
Yeah, I am so conflicted because
I think I'm going to go 3. I think I'm going to go a solid 3 pipper.
Man, in spite of I'm objectively going to give it 3 pips as well.
Wow.
Even though I know my heart and my enjoyment says like 1 pip, but like functionally and what it's trying to do in the story, it does make sense. And it does work. It just doesn't work for Ian so well.
Well, I didn't really find myself laughing a ton. I wasn't like, oh, that was fun. The Billup stuff, I was in for that one. It was a crazy episode where a lot happened, and I just think I respect it more than I am like, man, that was my episode. You know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. I think I'm trying to grade it based on like my respect for what it was trying to do, rather than I didn't enjoy 50% of it and then I really enjoyed the other 50% of it. So it's really, really hard. So I think I'll hover on 3 and still think about it.
I think if they had, there was one point in the episode where I said, this is where it was kind of when shit was going sideways and all of the upper deckers had been cornered or had been attacked by the invading crickets. And I said, this is when our crew saves the day.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Ian, in a very forlorn way, says,
nope.
Insert his audio here.
Yeah.
He says that. He was like, I don't think, just, you were so sad. I don't think so today. Like,
yeah,
it was just this,
I don't think so.
And my heart sank because I thought, oh, he's probably right. They're not going to save the day. This is going to be a full episode. It probably would have been a 4 stars for me if the lowest crew, the lowest shift on the crew, not the Beta, because Beta and Delta were busy doing other things. So it kind of like makes sense in my mind that they may have, well, they probably should have been sleeping, honestly. Like this should have been their nap
it's weird.
time.
They shouldn't both be awake at the same time.
None of them should be awake, I guess. Yeah. But it would have been great if they would have showed up and then we would have had a little bit of our crew. Like, how great would that fucking Billups scene had been if Rutherford was there? I would have loved that.
Yeah, I guess I would love it, but it also would break the episode. Like it would break the format of the episode because then you're focusing on our lower deckers. Like they had to be absent so that we know to focus on the upper deckers.
But at the same time, it could have been a nod that they will someday become upper deckers themselves. Like it could have been that handoff, that trade-off, that kind of like they're ready to become the next. They're not just going to be the lower deckers forever. I don't know.
Maybe. But again, that still makes it their story, not completely the upper deckers.
It would have been better.
In your opinion. Okay. My biggest sin of the episode was that we didn't get to see the awesome episode that Mariner described, where they get sucked into a painting and then they have to escape from the painting. That sounded incredible.
Yeah,
I want to watch that.
We have a sin, like episode describes a better episode.
Yes, and I know that's deliberate because you can describe whatever you want and it doesn't like the synopsis doesn't mean it would have been a great episode, but I love that conceit and I'm just like, oh man, I want to see the paint episode. That sounded great.
Yeah.
Your turn, Ambassador.
Let's see what else I have on this one. We had more gross birth happening.
There was a fertility.
Nope. We're just ready. Okay. We're moving on from that. And let's take a look. I don't think I had anything else that was really, because I already mentioned him killing the bear pack, which was confusing. Like my spine. So no, I don't have any other major things. So I can go to the chat.
Yeah.
Multiple sins from Flyboy. I'm adding 57 sins for all of the time someone should have called for red alert and did not. I was trying to actually count, but then I got bored with it. And
very true. Yeah, that's a lot of red alert worthy stuff happening, which leads to my next sin that where were our lower decks crew? I know they were like, hey, did we miss something? Apparently something happened. Freeman did a ship-wide announcement giving out compliments. They were invaded by the Clickets. So much happened. How did they miss, and I guess that's the joke, but how did they miss everything that happened on the ship? What were they doing?
Yeah. Sin from David, an hour-long solo sousaphone recital. I agree.
Yes.
Make it one song. It doesn't need to be multiple.
Yeah. Short and sweet. Keep it enjoyable.
I attended a tryouts recently, and the length of the music was supposed to be a certain number of bars of music so that, everybody is just performing their tryout piece and then moving on to the next thing. And some parents did not adhere to that. And so we got to hear children singing entire songs as best that they could.
I mean, cut them off. Whoever's in charge should have cut them off.
Never work in the
theater
industry for children.
let them complete it, but fail them because you didn't read the instructions. Like your performance was great. You self-indulgent toad. You didn't read the instructions and gave me the whole song. You
Oh, I
performer.
just realized this is why Simon Cowell is the way he is. Like, he's English.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Instructions are important. They're there for a reason.
You're like,
don't ever compare me to Simon Cowell. He's a
it's too late.
Absolute gallivanting knob. Right. Okay. I am questioning why Billups has to get creative with repairs. It's not like they're in the middle of nowhere. Like, why does he have to jerry-rig stuff? Why can't he just...
That is an argumentative sin. You don't know the situation.
I don't, but Geordie doesn't have to. Like, I don't get why he has to make shit up on the fly on the Cerritos and not repair it and then just forgets. Yeah.
Let's see. What's another one that I could do? Let's see.
Slab.
Is there still... Are these comments in here from today?
There should be comments in there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, these are all These are all new ones. Yeah. They're all from this week, yeah.
Okay. I like this one from there it is. This one's from Flyboy. It reminds me of my sin after reading this one would be not having had Shax in therapy already. Like the fact that he's just now realizing that it's a viable outlet.
All in therapy.
I feel like that's a standard that everyone who works on the Starship should be in therapy. Flyboy's sin is Shax, say something, damn it. What is it with Starfleet officers that they seldom report hallucination symptoms until it's too late?
That's so true. Barclay can tell you how that plays out, Mr. Shax. Well, that was the transporter thing. He's hallucinating his glowing arm and doesn't report it until it's way too late. Yeah.
You know how most of the episodes we have all of this could be solved with better communication cliches going on?
Yeah.
I guess this would kind of be in that category this time. Like, just say
this
something.
One would, yeah. So this is, and that's very much in keeping with TNG, like not communicating in case, like, what, are they going to think you're insane? Like, they see strange shit all day long. If you say you're hallucinating something, they're gonna believe you. Like, they just will.
And David points out, why didn't Anna or Miglimo check out Doctor?
Yeah,
go and check on Shax, because he zones out and then he excuses himself right in the middle of the briefing.
Yeah, and are Shax and Ta'ana still together? Like, shouldn't she be more concerned that her partner is immediately left the briefing?
Right. So, like, what an interesting character trait that the person that you have been with has done something so out of the ordinary, but you want to have somebody rip your atoms apart so you can feel pain.
Interesting psychology there.
Yeah.
What else did I have? I just have, it does not look like a cow. That was my sin.
That's funny.
It does not.
Another one from David. If Dr. Ta'ana is that indestructible, why isn't she leading every away mission?
I thought that as well. Yeah. Like,
what a great point.
She actually is indestructible. It's insane.
Oh man.
It's crazy. She gets fully shot on and set to kill. I think my last one would be you have the entire galaxy to choose from for your anniversary dinner, and yet you still choose Paris.
I thought you might have that one.
That's like, it's not even the best place on Earth you could have picked, let alone the galaxy. And maybe it holds some significant value to them, but it's Paris's romantic cliche, and it is not.
I'll go over more in the outtakes of things we didn't get to in the chat's sins for today.
Amazing. Well, next week's episode is called, and I love this episode, it might be my favorite episode of the entire season. It's called Fisher Quest. And the reason I love that so much is because the show is called Star Trek, and this is Fisher Quest, because they're going to be, I guess they're going to be chasing after the fissures in space that they've had to repair. So maybe this is, obviously episode 9 and 10 are going to be connecting some shit together. So I just think it's really clever to call it Fisher Quest instead of Star Trek. I love that.
Are you saying fish or fissure?
Fisher Quest. Fisher.
Until
Fisher Quest. Fisher Quest.
Until the
Damn
chat.
Everyone thinks I said Fisher.
I thought you were saying Fisher. And so I was like, I have been missing, like, why are there fish in space? Is a fish a type of a class of starship? Because I come from a fishing family, and because I have a vivid imagination, all of the starships suddenly turned into trout and bass. And when you were like talking about going and getting all the fishes, I was seeing them like cast the fishing pole out and then reel things in. Yeah,
that's on me. I'm sorry.
I was attempting to figure out like what I was going to say next. And so I'm really grateful that the chat typed it out. That it's Fissure Quest. Got it. Okay.
Next week's episode is called Fissure Quest, which I think is...
Can we say Fishing Quest, please? Because when you said... It's my favorite. I was like, I didn't know Ian was a fisherman.
No.
Like my grandpa would be so proud.
No, it's just Ian has trouble with some words. That's what it is. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone.
Oh, God.
Fissure Quest.
I'm so happy right now. Like, if we... Iris wants to go fishing next year. Mm-hmm. If you can come visit...
Yeah.
Can we call it the Fissure Quest? And
yes, we can call it the Fissure. We're going on a Fissure Quest.
We can put on Star Trek uniforms and go
Yes.
fishing.
Fissure Quest.
Oh man, it is rare these days that there's a word that you'll say that I genuinely think it's different. So
and I don't think that's an English thing. I do think that's an Ian being stupid.
I'm not making fun of you. That was fantastic, and I loved it.
Any predictions for next week's episode that doesn't involve fishing? It's about fissures. Fissures.
Oh. He was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna be like minnows. And little fisher hats with like the little fisher hooks hanging down like one big red bobber, you know, that circular spherical medical ship that you've talked about before, but it's just a big red and white bobber.
Olympic class. Yeah.
I have no predictions. My brain is completely fucked.
If you want to send us any emails or anything, send them to captainspod at cinemasins.com. Join our lovely crew of Discord people on the CinemaSins Discord, discord.gg/cinemasins, where we have a lovely Star Trek channel. And you can troll me for saying fissures instead of fissures as well. Fissures sounds weird. That's not a real word.
It's like weird. When you're saying water versus a Walter, but you're saying the same word. It's
water and water are very different. Water. That's different. Two different words.
You'd say the same
word. Water. So... Till next week,
send
Captain
your
Ian.
Fisher predictions.
I'm Captain Ian, and why are we mutilating gourds?
Oh, don't be sad, Ian. I love it. Are you sad?
No. Give me your quote.
Are you sad?
No.
You are.
No.
Okay. And I've always wanted to get stuck in a painting.
Live long and prosper.
Oh, sad Ian is one of my favorite Ians. Oh boy.
Water.
Water.
Oh dear.
I think Iris says water more English than you now.
I think she does. Water.
Because you've been trying to go full American accent and she's trying to go full English accent to say it like you do.
It'd be something crazy. She doesn't like it when I say water.
No.
She doesn't like it.
She likes it when you
say it properly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. I had something else I was going to say at the end of the episode, but no, I think that was it. Okay.
I like the sin from Link. Brass instruments do not make that sound when you swing them around.
That's a fair comment. Yeah.
And what about Moopsie versus the cricket? The clickets. I kept calling them crickets.
I think Moopsie wins that one.
I think so too. Unless they don't have any bones.
I assume they have bones. No, I assume they do. Yeah.
But do crickets have bones?
Yeah, they have an endoskeleton, don't they?
No, they don't have bones. They have exoskeletons.
Aren't their carapaces made of
exoskeletons?
Bones?
Let's see. They don't have a backbone or bones. They have exoskeletons, which is a hard shell that covers their body and protects their soft organs. And it's made of chitin, a hard protein, not bone.
Oh, then maybe the Clickets win.
I think the Clickets might win because Moopsy wouldn't have any interest in them, but the Clickets would.
Yeah.
Unless Moopsy can suddenly have like compliment things.
I think Clicket would start like harvesting Moopsies for their ability to suck bones and then cloak them. Oh my gosh, if you had a cloaked Moopsie, game over. Game over.
Let's see. My goodness. What else is in? Oh, I love under the theme of food conversation. Sarah's saying this is a Michelin star perfect bite that the Cloacans would die for.
Cloacans.
That was the Cloacans.
Sci-Fi Brony can't be here this week. So he did send me a few sins. How did Rutherford carve Vija in the pumpkin so quickly? Because that was his second carving, I believe. So yeah, very good question. He did a very good job and did that very quickly. Sin removal for canonically explaining the rocks that explode.
This one was from Flyboy. Oh my God, she's 7. How many years of Fridays have I wasted here?
Oh,
all
wasted.
Of them, Flyboy.
Wasted. I take umbrage with that.
No time is wasted if it's something you enjoy doing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that is wasted then.
Wow. Wow. Ransom's ridiculous management style. This works. Absolutely. And
yeah.
That is definitely a this works cliche.
Yeah. 100%. So dumb.
If you want to keep more bagoons from entering the shuttle bay, maybe close the door.
That's fair.
I choose to ignore that. Fuck you, Ian.
I didn't do it. Phil did it.
You put it up on screen.
Phil did it.
You put it up on screen.
Nope.
Let's see. Sin, the episode premise is that we finally have a chance to see the senior officers in their own adventures, but we've seen them in action many times before, skillfully woven into the elders?
Lower deckers.
Ah, that makes sense.
Elders also make sense.
I think so too, but they obviously wanted to make that come back. I wonder how long it's been since they had one. Maybe they thought, hey, it's been X amount of episodes. Let's do another one.
Well, I did think it was weird that like Shax has been so absent for so long as well. So I guess they were saving him up, which is a shame because like I think it's Fred Tatasciore. Fred. Anyway, the voice actor for Shax is great. I love him.
David said, maybe the best part of this episode is the idea that the main characters of the shows we watch have a worldview that matches the people watching them. AKA the stars of the show.
Yeah, everyone's the star of their own story. And I think that's exactly what Mariner says. They're all their own protagonists. Or Tendi. Might be Tendi.
I also was thinking about like the idea that Iris goes off and has her little lower decks life where she's coming up in the world and she doesn't know that like Mama's over here doing her thing. Like she has no idea the things that I do to keep the starship running around here.
No idea that her dad is on the ship as well.
She's just like popping back in like, where's my food? And I'm like, let me get the fucking replicator. You know, I'll be right back. She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Nope.
She doesn't realize that I've just cleaned up the nth dead bird in the garage. She gets mad that she can't walk out in the garage in her bare feet. She doesn't realize the murder scene that Mommy's just cleaned up.
Yeah, and it would be your fault if you let her walk out there because you didn't tell her that there was going to be a dead bird.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fun. I think you're right. We see ourselves in this a little bit. And today I realized that I'm an upper decker in my own world when it comes to being a parent.
Absolutely.
And the dogs are like this too. They don't know.
No.
They don't realize all that goes into it.
No. They don't have the brain capacity yet.
Do I get to, get accolades for it all the time? No. Of course not. Because it's not about that. It's about the pride of the job. This is my Starfleet. I really, really, really want to get a roly-poly cow popple.
So cute.
I just feel like that would make my life a little bit better.
No, that way lies madness. You can't buy your way. You can't buy your way into happiness. You know how like innocently you stumbled upon consumerism there. Like, I will just buy happiness.
Yeah.
This thing will replace the thing that's annoying me.
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks, Link.
Also,
oh my God. Yeah, fuck you, Ian. Quit it. What if we find that lower decks are not in the main Trek universe?
Oh, fascinating. Yes. That would give them a free pass. It's just whether they care enough to do that. If they're really like precious about, okay, the stuff we've done is too weird to be proper Star Trek, then we'll just say, oh, this all happened in another universe where things are allowed to be more ridiculous. What if they, yeah, man. But haven't they already acknowledged that with the Strange New Worlds thing? Because they crossed over out of animation into live action.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, they kind of have touched our quote unquote reality a little bit more than maybe if they hadn't have done that, we would have that potential more strongly. David says that those old scientists negates that.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm at, because the fact that Boimler and Mariner don't say, oh, I look different. Like, that wasn't a crossover out of animation. Like, for that episode, everything was live action and everything was animated. It's all at once. So I don't.
It's kind of like the lens with which we're looking into that world is an animated lens, but it's still real.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they did decide to undo it a bit somehow, it would be
it doesn't completely negate it. It just means that this is a similar universe where slightly more extreme things happen.
It's the same mental gymnastics that we have to do to understand that LCAT monster or whatever it's
LCAT monster. Yeah, the AI golem.
The AI golem.
I don't like that because it gives you nothing's then real. Because if you're telling me that 5 years, if you tell me that at the start of the story, that's different to making it a final twist at the end. Like I would hate that to be a retcon at the end. I don't like that.
It would really undermine a bunch if they did kind of put it into a different universe. I feel like if they had been doing more extreme things, I would want that to be the case. But everything's on the border enough for me, even though I'm not like the Star Trek expert person.
No, I agree.
Even the things that are more extreme for me, for you, Ian, to say that you think it could exist in the same universe makes me think that it could. So
I think it's just there. It gets bloody close sometimes. But then again, there are episodes of Voyager and TNG that get very close. Like, Voyager redefines what Warp 10 means and turns people into lizards. Like, there are ridiculous... Like, if Threshold, that episode where Janeway and Tom get turned into lizards, happened in Lower Decks, I would be furious and I would be like, you're breaking the rules and this is only because it's animated. Like, Star Trek still does live action stuff that I'm like, nope, that's fucking weird.
Yep. Great talk. Great conversations. And we do get to have amazing conversations because you guys join us live. And I know that we always say thank you, but truly thank you for being here. We know we're about to change the schedule up a bit. So just a reminder, we're going to be going live on Mondays, starting at the end of January. So we have next week, we'll be live on Friday at a regular time. The following week, we'll be live on a Saturday in more of the morning hours. This is Central Standard Time, by the way. And then we will not be live again until January 27th, and that will be on a Monday. And we're going to start off the new year on a new live day. We hope you guys can join us sometimes. Sorry to change up the norm a bit. It happens sometimes when you're making live content that we've got some things on the schedule that are going to potentially be conflicting with Fridays, and we have to accommodate for our schedule there a little bit more. But hopefully you can catch us on a weekend every once in a while. And of course, you can always watch the show live, either as it's replayed on Twitch or on YouTube. You can check out all of our old live content on that tab. If you click on that tab. So are you going to be more people from the Sins team? I believe Aaron usually joins for Strange New Worlds, but that's not coming out in January, so we have other plans for now. It'll just remain Ian and I, and every once in a while we will have other guests, of course. So they're not new, but they are designed for me to be able to just do like close-up work on computers. So they have like some filters on them for computer screens. I just forget to wear them.
They're actually very old. They're like the OG Danae glasses.
Yeah. Do you know I still have glasses that I had when I was like 12?
That's
glass
cute.
frames. I've kept them. I don't
I think
know
I've got
where
a couple somewhere.
they are off the top of my head, but it'd be really interesting to pull them out and put them on my face.
Man, I've worn glasses since I was 6.
Make it up to us by doing Mario Kart and BG3 on stream.
Yes.
I'm up for that.
What, on a Friday?
I mean, no, not on a Friday. I got works to do on a Friday, but maybe we can try to plan some actual gaming streams to make up for it.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We would love it. We do want to.
Maybe we should just do it today. I should probably do more writing though, because would you guys like to actually see CinemaSense content? Is that a good idea?
There's always
That's
that.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Oh, we still want to do this as well. That would be so fun.
He's trying to figure out how his computer can manage it.
Yeah, there's emulator problems.
You are out of school. Perfect time to do streaming. Ah, nice. Nice break there. Get on that, Ian.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Link. I actually still have the old banner for the Nintendo when we were doing our rooms.
Oh, that's fun.
So this is still actually saved in the back end of our computer.
I love it.
I've moved around my computer enough too that I unplugged the switch, and I unplugged the way that it was working with my computer. So if we were going to do Mario Kart, I would have a whole thing to try to troubleshoot before we could do it. But it would be a bunch of fun. I wish we could hang out with you guys all of the time. You lift our hearts up.
Stream 6 hours a day. That would be amazing.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thanks, JA. That's awesome.
Thanks. We appreciate that. We enjoy it too. And we love being able to do that with you. We've got some fun content besides the live stuff. We've got some really fun content that's going to be released on the podcast as well. If you guys were not here at the top of the show, there's going to be an episode coming out, I think in a few weeks, that is between Ian and one of the people from the Lorecast. So we've got
January
some fun
1st,
episodes.
a 2.5 hour, 3 hour debate on the motion picture.
Even though we're not going to be streaming live after 2 weeks from now, when we kind of go on our live stream break, you're still going to have content in your podcast feed for most of that time. There's only going to be like a 2 week dark period. And like Ian said earlier, all that stuff, I think we're going to post it on Discord sort of in like a schedule fashion so you can see ahead. And you can also look ahead on the event part of Discord, and those should be updated too. So correct.
Yeah, I'll share something in Discord.
Awesome. Our community is really delightful. So and I'm sure you would have, David.
Man, it's a good one. It's the nerdiest I've ever talked about Star Trek. It's deep. It's a deep dive. Yeah, I did more research for that than I did for anything to date. Because I'm not as familiar with the motion picture. It was a lot of fun. It was really, really cool.
We hope you guys are going to have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back here next week for the same time. And have a great world out there. We hope whatever's happening is going well.
We have an outro screen. So when we end the stream, you'll have an outro thing to look at as well. And if I got anything wrong on it, then tough. We'll already be gone. But let me know in Discord.
We're doing shit.
But before you press end, I am going to go over to Twitch and make sure that actually works as I intended it to work.
Okay.
Before you press end stream.
We're stalling. Yeah, Slab. That was Slab's idea. Thank you, Slab, for giving that to us and for Ian stealing it. It's another thing we steal sometimes. Are you ready? You ready now?
No,
Are you ready? Are you ready now?
Hang on.
Are you ready now? Oh, hey, Slab. I've got something to play for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. I can't play all of it for you then, I guess. I'll tell you about that later. That's for a future. Okay. We love you guys. Okay, bye.